I'm Ellie and welcome back to Arcadia, my self-converted Toyota Hiace, which I am currently travelling Australia's east coast in. And a few exciting things have happened this week. First of all, I am in Queensland, so in this vlog I will be travelling from northern New South Wales to southern Queensland. But more importantly, I've reached 500 subscribers and I really want to say thank you so much to every single person for all of your support and coming along with me on this journey. It just gives me the motivation to keep making videos for you, and if you're not already along for the ride, then click that subscribe button if you want new van life videos every single Saturday. I'm Ellie Wilder and you're watching Wilder in Motion. Good morning. In my last vlog I was talking about how there had been a small COVID outbreak in northern New South Wales and how I was thinking of just avoiding that area and going straight to Queensland, but there have been no new cases today, so I think I'm going to quickly go through that area. Since it's Saturday of the Easter long weekend, I just stopped by Coles to get some groceries because I'm not going to be able to do that for the next few days, and now I'm going to drive up to Ballina. So I'm on my way to Ballina and the scenery coming out of Grafton is really beautiful, so I've gone onto a tourist drive route, which just when I was about to think that I'd gone too far and I must be going the wrong way and I turned my GPS back on, I saw another sign telling me that I was actually taking the right way on the route. See, you get to wave at the cows when you take the back roads. So I've made it all the way to this lookout in Ballina without even going back onto the M1 at all. I think it's probably taken me about 2 hours to get here by going slow on those tourist drives, which have slower speed limits but also poorer quality of roads, but it was just much nicer to cruise along. I then decided to make some lunch of a cheese and hummus sandwich on some ciabatta bread before I headed out to walk up to the lookout, which looked across Lennox Heads and over towards Ballina as well. So it was just a short walk up there, and then I decided to continue down the other side, which heads further towards Lennox Headway, and there was this walkway past the water, which was good to stretch my legs after having driven so long. So I had a little bit of an explore of the area before I headed back to the van to find somewhere to park for the night. Hello, so I wasn't actually going to vlog today because it's just raining and I've kind of just been hanging around Ballina and hasn't really been anything that interesting to film, but I needed to talk about Byron Bay. Now, if you live on the east coast of Australia, then you definitely know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, Byron Bay is kind of a notorious area for backpackers and a lot of people like me who are traveling in camper vans and free camping. And unfortunately, some of those people are not as good as me at just respecting the residents and cleaning up after themselves and not being rowdy. And so it's become such a problem that basically every 50 meters there's a no camping sign. There's huge signs everywhere that say park in restricted bays only, no overnight camping, fines up to $1,000. And everywhere you go is paid parking, even in the little council car parks. So I think I'm going to continue a bit further north so that I'm well out of this area so that the council isn't going to come around and fine me. I made it to this rest stop and I've stayed here overnight, which was quite good, except I woke up in the morning and there was water on the floor at the front end of the van, and I thought it might have been from the freshwater tank which I recently put in there, and I worked out that it wasn't actually that tank, it was the condensation from the window. So if you remember in my previous vlog when the panel on the bottom of that door was super saturated, it wasn't just from the bad seal that caused it to get really wet, it's also the condensation. So I think I'm going to go and add some silicone around so at least I can sort of channel it into a certain spot. So this is a good example of where I have been. So obviously I started in Sydney, went to Gosford, Newcastle, to Foster, Port Macquarie, Dempsey, Bucka, Hotel, Cox, Emerald Beach, Grafton, Ballina. Went through Byron and Lennox Heads, and I'm now at this rest stop. Then I want to go up to Tweed Heads and then Surfers Paradise, and then Brisbane. I I'm now in Brunswick Heads to use their library, and this town has quite a hostile vibe as well. Lots of no camping signs. There's definitely an uptick in camper vans similar to mine around here, but just so many like no camping signs and timed parking areas. It's definitely not like very inviting for travelers, and I honestly can't see why there are so many people camping here. Like, it seems like a pretty normal town compared to everywhere else I've been. I'm really just here because it was close to where I was and there's a library, but I'm not going to be staying here overnight. So I have run into another flooded road. It's been over a week since the worst of the flooding, but it has rained these past few days, but at least what looks like 100 meters of the road ahead is underwater. So only where you can see that hill over there does it seem to like emerge again, but that's okay, there's another way through. The only reason I picked this route is because I wanted to go to somewhere a bit more scenic that wasn't the M1, but I think I have to head back to a major road. I've just driven to Kingscliff today, which is just a 30-minute drive or so from the Queensland border, so I'm very close to Queensland now. After a couple of days stuck in the van with all the rain, it was nice to head back out into the sunshine. However, at the main beach, the water was still pretty gross and contaminated with stormwater runoff from the floods, so I wasn't actually able to go swimming. So today has just been a general cleaning day. I filled up my backup water tank. I filled in another layer of silicone, which I was working on last week. And I also cleaned up this other side. Basically, it became a bit loose from the condensation from the floods. So yeah, every now and then the van just requires some maintenance, kind of like living in a house really. All I want is an indoor shower. Now, I don't document every single place that I shower, but if you saw in my last vlog, I was complaining about the lack of indoor showers in Coffs Harbour, and I am yet to find an indoor shower since. My plan for the evening was to park up at a rest area. So I'd made it to the rest area, but there was a sign out the front saying that there is no longer overnight camping allowed here, and there's a gate, so I'm assuming that's going to get locked at some point. So I think I'm going to continue further up north. I wanted to go to the end of this pier so that I could see Queensland across the river, but the road was closed, so instead I think I'm looking at Tweed Heads. Also, this is another area with heaps of no camping and no overnight staying signs. I am getting a little frustrated by the number of anti-free camping towns there are on the far north coast. I was expecting it in Byron, but I was not expecting it to continue, and I'm now at least 45 minutes drive from Byron. Certainly doesn't encourage me to stay or spend money in the town. I'm just going to move on to the next town that actually wants my tourism. Guys, I've gotten bogged, and I was afraid this was going to happen. I really wanted to find somewhere to park on the street, but I could not. It's really just this back tire. So, taking advantage of the local resources, I've just shoved a bunch of sticks under there, and I'm hoping this is just enough to get me out. So basically, there's one wheel on the road, but that's not enough traction, and this back wheel is fine, it's just the other two. You can see why I thought I could park on the nature strip. I guess they're not planning on moving until it's dry. So I think the front tire is actually the main problem at the moment. This one I've been able to tack out with sticks at the front and back. And you can see that that's actually lifted up a lot. So it's just this that's gotten buried further into the ground as I've tried to move. Okay, update. We're inching forward, as you can see, I'm almost at the end of these sticks, so we've driven at least 30 centimeters. I'm shoving these ones in the back so that when I'm rolling the car forward and back, it doesn't get bogged behind. So the problem is really the front tire, but I managed to get this towel underneath. Do you see that? I am badass. Just got myself out of this bog. Sacrificed a towel in the process, but TBH, I am learning some skills as a van lifer. Well, that was a stressful start to my morning, but it proved to myself that I can get myself out of a bog. Very fortunate that I happened to be right near all these trees with those sticks so that I could shove them underneath. But the thing that really saved me was the towel, just so that I had like a long mat of something to get that traction onto for the front wheel, and that's ultimately what got me out. It took about 40 minutes of like packing the wheels, accelerating, then rocking backwards and forwards, accelerating, then going back out, doing it all again, and just inching forward little by little. But then once the towel got lodged underneath, I accelerated and I thought, oh my gosh, it hasn't worked. Rock, accelerated, and I could kind of feel it moving a little bit, and so then I really just kept stepping on it, and then finally, zoom, we finally had liftoff, and I managed to make it out. I spent the afternoon at a library doing a little bit of editing before I headed back to the van to make some soup for dinner, and I wanted to explore a little bit of the local area. So I think in the distance there, that might be the Gold Coast. This is definitely the busiest beach I've been to. It is school holidays, but so many people here. But it's great, it's a good vibe. It's Thursday night and everyone is having a good time. So I continued my walk along the beach as the sun went and checked out the boardwalks either side of the beach as well. Even though I love having the beach to myself, it's really nice to be back in a kind of city environment, although I have seen lots of signs referencing the Gold Coast and Queensland, and I'm wondering if I've somehow crossed the border without even knowing it, because I'm pretty sure I'm in New South Wales right now, but maybe the city of the Gold Coast goes across both states. Good morning. So I looked at the map and yesterday I was in fact in Queensland, but right this second I'm in New South Wales where I camped for the night, but literally the end of this street is Queensland. It's very confusing. I thought there was going to be like suburbs of difference. It's such a nice vibe in this area. I don't know whether it is because being the Gold Coast there's more of a populous area. There's a lot more high-rise buildings, more holiday makers, and so many more campers. So I returned to Coolangatta Beach because it was a beautiful day and there was the right amount of people, not too crowded, and I went for a quick dip and then I chilled out on these deck chairs. I just got back from Coles in New South Wales, which is such a novelty to me, but I realise people who live on border towns literally don't care. But this is the kind of thing that I would buy from the shops in a week. Got some snacks. Those are the best muesli bars and they're on sale. Some breakfast and some bread. So I'm gonna make myself a sandwich now. Also, of course, I am very Australian, so I bought these. And look at this, there's hardly anything in them. I've had like 6. Honest, what is happening? So I've made a hummus, cheese and lettuce baguette. And if you're wondering how much my groceries cost, it was $23. If you want an idea of how much stuff costs in Australia, everything I bought was either the Coles brand or it was on sale. I've developed a bit of a van life routine of hanging out in the van after eating and then going for a walk around sunset. On this occasion, I went from Coolangatta Beach to Rainbow Bay Beach, and pretty much a quarter to a third of the vehicles in the area are all camper vans. There's actually far few people here compared to last night, which I wasn't expecting because it's Friday night, but I guess they're all in the venues. And as you can see, it's just much more of a built-up area. And after my walk, I headed back to the van for the night. So an update on the shower situation. Since I wasn't able to find an indoor shower, it has just been outdoor showers, and I thought that was going to continue until I walked around to Rainbow Bay Beach, which is the next beach along, and they did have indoor showers there, so I was finally able to have a proper wash and I feel so much better. I'm still wearing my swimmers though because I didn't bring clothes because I thought I was just gonna have an outdoor shower. One of the really annoying things about outdoor showers is because I'm wearing my swimmers, they'll be dry and then they have to get wet again, and then it's the evening and they take forever to dry because they can't really dry overnight, so I'm glad that I didn't have to get them wet again. Good morning, I'm still here today in Coolangatta. I'm gonna head back to that beach today because it was really nice. This is such a great area, especially in contrast to going to Byron Bay and Burleigh Heads and just having them be so uninviting. I definitely won't even drive back through those places again because they just really were clearly anti-camper, whereas here there are just campers everywhere, and I didn't see anything that would make me think that there's a problem with it, and certainly the locals and the people around were totally fine about it. So I feel like the system they've got going here is working really well. It's bringing tourism to the area without disrupting the residents and without overloading the facilities or having the place completely overrun by camper vans. After having such a nice day at Coolangatta Beach the previous day, I headed back there. It was great weather again. I've had such a nice morning. I've just been at the beach, went for a swim, and then I sat on the wooden chairs the same as yesterday, which I thought would be a super busy area, but because there isn't direct beach access off the front of it, it's like a bit of a chilled out, a bit away from it kind of area. And then I went for a walk along the beach, and there was another set of flags down there, and so I went swimming there too. I've just had lunch, so I'm probably going to head back out, but this has been such a beautiful area, such a nice vibe. This is probably the most likely place that I could see myself spending like a significant period of time in, of anywhere that I've been, because it still has like a kind of busy, bustling city sort of vibe, but you've got the beach there and it's not too crowded. And I finally worked out that this is the borderline. I missed it so many times because it's just right in the middle of the street. I've had such a fab day today. I went back in the water and I was in there for about an hour. Normally it kind of gets a bit cool after 15 or 20 minutes, but it was just the right temperature, and I found the perfect break in the waves so that I could dive under. It was just exactly what I thought my whole van life experience would be like. So now I'm just heading back to the van, and I was walking past somewhere, I smelt garlic bread, so I think I'm going to make myself some garlic bread. It's basically how I'm making these. I cut up some mini baguettes, put some margarine and some garlic paste on it, and then I've got a pan heating up here, and I'm going to put some cheese on it, and then stick these on top so that the melted cheese sticks to bread. All done. Good morning. I'm still here on the south part of the Gold Coast, and yesterday I walked past these shops just off the back of Coolangatta Beach, and there looks to be some really cool places, so I think I'm going to check out those shops this morning. So I'm back from the shops. I only got a couple of things because a few of the stores were closed, but I did find some cute socks and also a mirror to replace the one that smashed. So it was one last afternoon of swimming and hanging out at Coolangatta Beach before I decided it was time to continue further up the Gold Coast, which is where I am now. Well, it's certainly been a roller coaster of a week, but I've made it to Queensland and I'm really enjoying it here. I'm starting to schedule my trip a little bit more so that I can make it to everything that I want to in the amount of time that I have, which I will be continuing to document here every single Saturday. If you haven't already, then check out my van life videos that will be linked in the description below. And otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.